Zero-day Earth, the echo of before. The sky was the color of old cement, and the air tasted like dust and ozone. To the south, where the industrial zone had been, the skyline was beginning to blur. Not physically, but temporally. Buildings were losing their edges, their complex modern structures simplifying into the basic geometry of their 1980s predecessors. The change a visual shudder in reality. Kellen pulled his thermal cloak tighter, the temporal stability field woven into the fibers humming a dull counterfrequency to the collapse. He was standing on the precipice of the latest reversion zone. "Report, Kellen," the voice of Commander Alara crackled in his helmet. She was miles away, secure in the main bunker, which was running on its last reserves of stable chronotin fuel. "Zone is active. Estimated reversion rate is 3 meters per hour, pushing back to pre-war infrastructure models. I've got maybe 90 minutes before the main transit path becomes structurally impossible for the Mark IV runner." His mission was simple: retrieve the original schematics for the chronostabilizer, the device that had failed generations ago and caused this whole mess before. The location reverted past the point of data storage. "Hurry, Kellen. We don't have enough charge for a second run. If you miss those schematics, we start planning the end." Kellen ran. He wasn't running from danger. He was running from time itself. He arrived at the target structure, a former municipal archive, now dissolving into a brutalist 1960s bank vault. He burst through a door that was already reverting from reinforced steel to a simpler brass and wood. Inside, the collapse was sickeningly fast. A row of server racks liquefied into stacks of antiquated reel-to-reel tapes, which then simplified into rows of ledgers, their parchment bleaching to nothing. He located the hidden sub-level where the schematics were stored. The access panel was already reverting. Kellen yanked his chronotin cutter and sliced through the panel. "I'm in," he grunted, descending into the dark. The sub-level was eerily quiet, the air thick and cold. He found the schematic container, a titanium vault set into the bedrock. He ran his scanner over it. It was secure, holding. Then his scanner screamed, "Alara, the vault. It's not reverting into the past. It's moving beyond it." "Explain, Kellen." "Is the data safe?" "No. The vault's baseline isn't a historical date. It's 0-day. The moment before the experiment. This vault. It's holding a single component that exists in a state of pure non-existence. The device that caused the temporal collapse hadn't just reverted the world. It had tried to create a perfect, absolute temporal 0 point. The vault before him was the heart of that paradox, a space-time bubble that was constantly referencing a moment that had never occurred. Kalan knew the founder, Dr. Vesper, was a genius of perverse cruelty. Vesper hadn't just hidden the schematics. He'd de-hidden the one crucial, counter-core component needed to reverse the collapse in the only place the chronotin instability couldn't reach, the moment of genesis. He used his cutter on the titanium. It was like slicing through solidified paradox. After agonizing minutes, the vault sprang open. Inside, resting on velvet that was rapidly reverting to basic rock dust, was a single humming crystal, the countercore. It was warm, emitting a low, rhythmic pulse. Kellen reached for it, static, not in the combs, in his mind. The world around him flashed, the archive vanished. He was standing on smooth, polished obsidian. The air shimmered with an unbearable potential energy. He wasn't in the past or the present. He was in 0-day itself. A voice, calm and ancient, echoed through the non-space, resonating not in his ears, but in his bones. "You shouldn't be here, child. This place is not for existence. This place is the potential of everything, and the reality of nothing." Kellen clutched the crystal. He felt his own self, his memories, his life, his identity begin to stretch, simplify, and dissolve. The 0-day field was trying to make him unexist. He realized that the only way to survive was to give the field something real to hold on to. He focused on a single vivid memory, the smell of rain on soil, a memory from a time that had been fully erased, a time before the collapse. The memory acted like a tiny anchor. The crystal in his hand pulsed violently, pulling his consciousness back toward something. Kellen, time is up. The path is gone. You have to leave the component, Cullen. You have to leave. Ilara's voice was desperate, screaming. Kellen ignored her. He gripped the counter core, took a deep breath of the non-air, and plunged backward through the collapsing door, not toward the bunker, but toward the zone's expanding edge. He knew the schematics were gone, but the counter core was the real prize. He reached the edge of the zone, throwing himself into the stable field of the Mark IV runner, just as the pavement beneath his boots reverted to simple, unstable volcanic stone. He looked down at the countercore in his hand. It was dull now, quiescent. The world outside the runner was still dissolving, but now they had a weapon, a chance. The cost, however, had been paid. When he looked at his hand, he didn't remember putting on his wedding ring. He didn't remember having a wife. He had traded a sliver of his present reality to exist in 0 day, and the temporal wound was fresh. He contacted Ilara, his voice hollow. I have the core, but the schematics, they're gone. We have to start from scratch, and the world, outside the bunker's small light, continued its slow, silent retreat into the void.